Good morning, good afternoon, good day. My name is Heinz Gassner. I'm your sole host today for this Milestone 2 closing video. Due to our team being utterly busy, due to work, but also due to the afterplay of the Fund 12 opening in Barcelona. So without further ado, let me go to sharing the screen. Here we go. So milestone 2 of our project auditShare, which is the project 110014. So milestone 2, let me just jump over to the milestone overview. As you are well aware, milestone 1 was about conceptualizing our main deliverables of this concept phase of auditShare. So the business requirement specification, the technical specification, and the business model specification with the pitch decks and the pitch video. So we showed in milestone number 1 the basic say content, the basic conception, the basic tables of content and structures of those deliverables. So milestone 2 now was about filling the 2 major deliverables, the business requirement specification and the technical specification with content. And this gave us a very, very busy month. So as outlined in the milestone tool, we are now introducing the version 0010 of both of these documents. So these versions are now are containing a status of about 80+% of the completion of the documents. And both documents, as we agreed in the evidence of milestone, I will walk you carefully through these documents, but I'm fully understanding that walking you through in a short video will not be enough. So you will also be supplied with the links to these documents, but I have to ask you with, let's say, handling this with the understanding of confidentiality, as these documents are not yet checked regarding third parties' intellectual property rights. And so we need to handle that still very carefully. So today, I'm your sole host of this milestone meeting, as I told you, since our team is very, very busy. And Torsten just is on the way back from the Barcelona meeting, where he represented also DLT360 by his physical presence there. So the team of DLT360, very briefly recapped, is Torsten Pottebaum, with his major understanding also in the audit space. So he's also in his current profession a lead person within a large company in this area. Jonas, who is our mastermind in many legal matters, and also in terms of currently Jonas is closing a master's degree in branding and design. And Guillermo is our mastermind in project and program management and also in innovation management, sitting in Brazil. And myself, I am coming with a long history in leading digital transformation in major industrial corporations, and I'm trying, together with Torsten, to utilize his experience to make something really different here. So we are also working with a number of domain experts and freelance experts in the background. And as I said, we have a very interesting network in the background to quite a number of leading persons in established business and industry corporations. So auditShare, just again, very quickly for you, a quick recap. auditShare, I go a little bit bigger here, is we are developing auditShare to help businesses and industry to overcome what we call the audit dilemma. So background of that is a emerging regulatory tsunami, we could call it. So if companies want to comply with all these regulations and also be a poster child by showing, doing everything right, also with auditing and certification, this pendulum goes to, let's say, a huge challenge with cost and availability of the right resources, a very difficult situation. If, on the other hand, the defensive strategy is chosen, that a minimum effort with audits is experimented with, there is an, let's say, rapidly increasing business risk. And what auditShare is trying is to balance these extreme standpoints and provide a capability to an ecosystem of businesses and industries where this can be nicely managed. In our discussions, we jokingly called it the dating platform, the Tinder of the audit space, mixed with a breeze of LinkedIn. So it's supposed to support companies in all aspects of avoiding waste and redundancies and costs in this complex emerging audit environment. So the way we are tackling that is not simply auditShare as an app or an application. auditShare is a capability added to an ecosystem of businesses and industries, as also the other applications. We have about 20 applications in our ideation funnel. auditShare is one of them. It's the first we got funded in Fund 11 to introduce to the concept phase. What all these applications have in common, they are not simple applications. They are complex capabilities, as I said before, because they need to support business needs, but they also need to satisfy the enterprise architecture needs of professional clients. And with Web3 co-playing with Web2, co-playing with existing enterprise architectures, there is a need to approach such a concept phase and a specification very differently. So that's why we have developed this DLT360 business launch platform, which is also, we unfortunately did not get funded for the business development sandbox yet, but we chose to apply this concept already now for auditShare, which also did lead to making this concept phase, this Milestone 2 work now also way more challenging than just doing a simple specification for an isolated app. So what that means, our technical approach, our technical specification approach is embedded in the TOGAF enterprise architecture model. I'll get to that in a minute. So where this is supporting from the business architecture to the application architecture, data architecture, technical architecture, and then goes into migration, implementation, and change management. So, and this goes in never-ending iterations over a product life cycle. So with this architecture model in the background, we are well prepared to enter discussions with professional clients. And our documents of the concept phase have certain, say, focuses. So the requirement specification focus mainly on the business requirements, while the technical specification and also other parts are then deepening that in which is then contained in the technical specification. So without further ado, let's go to the first deliverable, the version 00.10 of the requirement specification. You will also find the link to the document in the milestone completion report. So hoping that you can sufficiently read what I'm showing now. So the requirement specification is a quite, let's say, important first part, as it determines the business approach, the business architecture of the entire capability or application we are building. So auditShare requirement specification now, and you will also see that the structure has been refined. The structure has been slightly modified due to our experience along the journey, but it is a document now with a total of 64 pages and is, I think, we reached the completion status well above 80%, but of course, we work iteratively, so there is still, of course, work to do now when we focus deeply in the business model specification, the business model canvas now for the next milestone. So what do you find in this document? An executive summary, of course, an introduction. So this is an introduction of auditShare. What's the background of why is auditShare, why is this regulatory tsunami arising, and why is there an audit dilemma in the first place? Then it shows, we also document briefly our motivation from a personal perspective, but also from a perspective of DLT360 as a company. And we describe briefly what is in scope and what is out of scope. The next chapter goes into the problem definition. So going deeper into the background of the changes in the environment of standards and regulation, why this is an unprecedented development right now, and companies are really confronted with a difficult situation in the near future. We illuminate the insufficiencies of traditional audit approaches. There are quite many, as audits, as so many other things in enterprises, historically were approached in a silo mode for different, let's say, segments like quality or safety or environment, and now are getting so complex that they need to be seen integratedly. But that's far from completed, so there's a lot of redundancy and a lot of waste, avoidable costs going on. That is one of the, let's say, besides the rising number of regulations and audit demands, it's also the way it's done today, which is part of the problem auditShare is going to tackle. There is, of course, a severe knowledge and resource issue, and we are examining also where this is largely the case, and then close the problem definition with exactly outlining what do we mean by the emerging audit dilemma. So the next chapter then covers vision, mission, and value propositions. So that is still interactively ongoing with the work on the business model canvas, which we are now doing. That's deep diving into value propositions, but here we have the major value propositions listed. I will not go into the details here now because it would explode the video for this purpose. And then we go from chapter 4 in the next chapter, which is outlining the solution approach of auditShare. So as I said, auditShare is much more than just an app. auditShare is a process innovation. So it is actually helping companies to optimize the way they do their auditing. auditShare is, of course, a software product. auditShare is also the center of an ecosystem with services and partnerships. auditShare also is a website, a landing page to behind this ecosystem. And auditShare also has a product roadmap because it's a quite complex beast where the first MVP development is probably going to be 10 to 15% of the whole journey. So it's a multi-year journey that is depicted here. So then we go into the buying center definition coming from, let's say, purchase and selling of complex industrial goods. It's important to know your buying centers. So there are enablers like early engaged partners in proof of concepts. There is, of course, an enabler, the Cardano Catalyst community. There is relevant industry organizations and established software tooling consulting players. And then there are the three major segments of target customers. So these are individual auditors. These are audit providing organizations, and these are business and industry enterprises either running audits or being audited. So then we have spent a considerable effort in the market analysis. So what are the standards and the regulations in the background? Who are the market participants in detail? And also, what are the market segments we talk about? Then we went into a extensive competitor analysis, and learning from that, there is no real competing solution out there yet. So some of what we call competitors here are also potential partners. So we have identified those. We have developed a KPI scheme. We were analyzing those, and we were then summarizing the conclusions. And then we go in a first, let's say, attempt to define the market volume and the possible market share. But again, this is iteratively co-worked now with the business model specification, which is the key deliverable for the next milestone. So then the requirement specification looks into legal and regulatory requirements. So what are the major standards and what is the situation in various markets? Our focus will mainly in the beginning be on the European Union because the EU is also leading in that area the attempt to regulate the corporate landscape, and US and China are, of course, also important to bear in mind. We are then looking into user benefits and risks for using auditShare as a corporate client, as a business, but also for using auditShare as an auditor. Then we are going into the design and UX requirements, so into the branding and corporate design, into the website, into the software application. and then go in explaining the big picture of the enterprise integration. So here we specify the use of the TOGAF enterprise architecture approach, and we outline how the business architecture, application architecture, data architecture, and technical architecture need to be seen. And that's then, of course, the main job of the technical specification. There are 3 case studies which are still in progress. For these case studies, they are very concrete. They are coming from companies I myself and also Torsten are deeply engaged with. So we still need to verify if we are getting the release to publish these case studies with mentioning the names, or if we need to neutralize those case studies. So therefore, this is not yet copied into the document. All right, so this is roughly the overview on the requirement specification, and you get, as I said, you have the link to the document. Feel free to deep dive into it, but please do not spread the document or distribute the document in any way. We still need to clarify some intellectual property right related details so that we are not mistakenly using anything, quoting or using anything that's, for example, not clarified and not protected. So then let's go to the second of the 2 deliverables, the technical specification. So before diving into the technical specification, I want to recap briefly the way we are approaching this. Again, auditShare is of course an application, but it's more an capability of an ecosystem of clients, of future customers, and it's also needs to co-play with the makers of auditShare, because it's happening all in a very dynamic environment with Web 2 and software as a service related elements in the companies we are targeting, but also with Web 3 landscape we are trying to establish. So that's why we are using the Open Group Architecture Framework, the TOGAF framework, in this architecture development method. And that needs to be seen as a living organism. So of course you specify an application, but you do not only specify it for the development, it's done for the envisioned long life cycle of this solution. So it starts out with an architecture vision for each iteration, then goes to the business architecture. This is mainly informed by the requirement specification we just looked at. Then it goes to the information system architecture, which is application architecture and data architecture, technology architecture. Then it revisits the business to identify unforeseen opportunities. And then it goes into migration planning, into real world applications, into implementation at clients, and then into the change management of a certain rollout version. And after a certain time or upon a certain event, a next iteration cycle can start. So this way we are doing here, the technical specification is not only for the development, it's for the entire life cycle of this solution. It also interacts. There is a central position, which is the facilitation, the requirement management, that interacts with the enterprise repository, which is our, let's say, GitHub, Gitbook repository we are building up. So then let's jump quickly. I think I need to speed up a little bit into the technical specification. So what is the major structure and content of the technical specification? So first of all, of course, we are describing revisiting briefly the concept phase of in a complete view what we are working on, and then it goes directly into the TOGAF model. So explaining what is TOGAF, why are we using it, important definitions, and the general advantages of doing that, and then how did we actually implement TOGAF, as that's an open framework and everyone using it needs to make it fit to the specific needs. Then we are examining what TOGAF means for our future DLT360 business development sandbox, because that is actually what the sandbox is all about. For auditShare and all future applications we are going to do, that's the facilitating sandbox to develop, to improve, and to lifecycle maintain, and to roll out, successfully roll out and maintain such applications with real-world customers. So here we are defining a certain specificities of our TOGA version in the sandbox, the roles we have defined, so product management, a Scrum of Scrum setup, the responsibility and assignment matrix, and then the role of the enterprise repository and the enterprise resources and capabilities. Then we outline how to get started. So at the end of the concept phase, we of course hope that this is not it. We hope that we start the MVP development phase. We will do our best to introduce that already to Fund 12. So this is also why we are working so concentratedly on this auditShare concept phase. And then the document goes into exactly how the individual phases. There are 8 phases of the TOGAF model. So the architectural vision, how is that conducted? How is the business architecture? Always taken from a baseline and the envisioned target. This can be an improvement or an expansion. How is that actually performed? Then the next step is the information system architecture, which contains the 2 aspects, the application architecture and the data architecture. And going then into how to work on the technology architecture. Again, always from a baseline and going with each iteration to a next target architecture. After doing this basic, let's say, architecture work, there is always in the model a kind of a reflection phase to take an updated look. Are there any opportunities or modified solutions arising which could add benefit, which were not foreseeable when starting the iteration? And then it's about getting this whole environment, the whole application or capability out to real-world clients, so the migration planning. We are in business and industry not deploying an application just into nothing. There is complex existing environments, enterprise architectures out there. So it's important to do this in a structured way. This is also the way our counterparts, the chief information officers, the chief information security officers out there in business and industry are thinking and acting. So then it's about implementation governance. So this is about how to handle the whole, let's say, development, deployment work that's actually done. And then it's about after one solution generation is successfully established and rolled out, how do we actually handle the change management? So then in the appendix of this document, you find, of course, then whatever we already achieved from terms of the baseline. So where did our discussion start out, and what do we envision to reach? So these are then elements which are actually in our enterprise repository, which are copied here into the appendix to make this more understandable and to also show here the progress. There is still a bunch of archive. Please don't look into that. This is still in there. Most of that will be cleaned out. Some of that still needs to be integrated. And then you see there is also already, let's say, concrete status of work. So we are working on a lot of things in the background, and where we reached a certain, let's say, point, we copied that into the appendix. So there is, of course, already substantial work on a kind of a baseline and an idea of how an MVP of our auditShare web application could look like. So that's not accidentally looking like that. It's done in a way that it's very easy to integrate into existing larger software landscapes from, for example, also renowned software environments like the SAP platforms and so on. So it's quite a lot of background work here hidden. So that's, for example, just a glance on where we are with outlining auditShare as a web application. It will be very important to have auditShare as a website because there is an ecosystem behind. There is the need to attract new potential clients, to also explain the products and services and the kind of terms and conditions. So there is, you will not be able to read that now in that size on the page, but we already started with wireframing, and we are, of course, heavily working on this. And in terms of application architecture, you see a certain baseline status here. The current discussions ongoing is to which enterprise resource planning environment, ERP environment, we are seeking to be most easily interoperable. There is a certain concrete idea which way to go. And then there is also our kind of still ongoing discussion, how much Web3 are we able to deploy in the very first steps, because our market is not yet fully prepared for neither understanding nor easily supporting that. But that's where the discussion comes from. I think we will nevertheless take the risk and make this very much Web3 oriented, which might then be a bit bigger challenge in the implementation process, but I think it will pay off of course, in the long term, but also in the mid-term range. In the data architecture, that is currently just still a discussion in Miro, because that is then taken as a next step concretely after finally agreeing on the application, on the target application architecture, which should be achievable within the next, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks. All right, so my apologies that this video again took quite a while. I think we spent a lot of work the last month. I think I also explained why we choose an approach that's a bit more extensive than just writing a product specification, but we believe that this will pay off in the future. We believe that we also will work on other projects after auditShare. And again, you can you find the links to these documents in the milestone achievement report. And again, please feel free to read, but please do not copy or spread these links to people who are not directly involved with validating our milestone achievement. So many thanks and apologies for the long video, but it was a lot of work done in the background, and I wanted also to make sure that you get a little bit guidance on how to understand and read these two elements of our deliverables for this milestone too. So again, many thanks, and hope you can take a little deep dive into these documents. Thank you and bye-bye.